Hey, Daily Dosers, happy Monday to you. Chris here. We are kicking off a brand new theme. Whether you like it or not, it is upon us. All the commercials, all the bells and whistles are out. We are in the holiday season. I'm not ready for it yet either, but you can't put it off, so you might as well accept it. Not all the celebration that you have to be a part of, not all the dinners, not all the events, not all the planning, not all the packing, not all the shopping, not all the wrapping, but can you find Christ in Christmas? I mean, it's right there in the name, Christmas. Can you find Christ in Christmas and yet not trying to search for Jesus through the holidays? Can you find Christ in your life? Isn't that what we're about as Christians? Where is Christ in us? If the power of the creator of the universe resides in us, should it be noticeable? And if so, how? Where? Why? I love Galatians 2:20. When Paul is writing to the churches in the area of Galatia, those that he first visited on his missionary journey, and he's writing back to them. And in Galatians 2:20, it says this, I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but it's Christ that lives in me. And the life that I live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. Now just break that down. Paul says, you know what? My old life is dead. It's gone. Not just because I asked forgiveness for it. I have been crucified with Christ. I put my old self, my old flesh, my own desires, my old Chris, living life for me to death is what he said. And then he says, I no longer live, but it's Christ in me. And we talk about this a lot at North Coast, so the cross and the empty tomb. The cross is where Jesus died, took the suffering for our sin to forgive us of our sin, but the empty tomb is his new life now that can be in us. Most of us love the forgiveness that God brings, but what about the filling of the Spirit? And this is where Paul says, it is Christ in me. The life that I live in the body, I live simply by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. How does that work? Well, most of the time, some of us have heard Galatians 2:20, but it's Galatians 2:21 that says this. I do not set aside the grace of God. The grace of God wasn't something he did, and now I'm a Christian. I don't set it aside. It's something I've become. It's something I accepted. It's something I've walked in. For if righteousness could be gained through the law, Christ died for nothing. You know why I walk in grace? Because if being a Christian, righteousness could be done by just observing the law, Christ died for nothing. This isn't a book of what we have to do to get better, a book of stuff we have to apply so we can be a better person. He goes, if that was it, then Christ died for nothing. It was Christ's forgiveness, his life in us, and walking by faith in the Son of God, and that grace. That's what makes us a Christian. Otherwise, we could have just followed the book. So let me ask you, finding Christ in Christmas, how much of your Christian life is just adhering to the laws of the book so that you can be right, in right place, in right mind, in righteousness? If Christianity is just doing the right things according to the book, then Jesus didn't need to die. He just needed to write a good book. So how do you do it? Let me ask you this. How do you start any relationship? How do you start any relationship? If we can look at a life of the Spirit as a life with a relationship, then we get it. Well, I lean into where they are. I try to spend time with. The more I can connect with that person, the more I build a relationship. The more I can hang out with, walk with, be around, the more I know them, the more they know me, the more this relationship happens. It's the exact same way with the Spirit. The cross has forgiven me, gotten sin out of my life. Now, when is the last time you practice the presence of God? When's the last time you leaned into, first of all, just his book may be a great way to start. More about who Jesus is and what he's done. When's the last time you did something in life just keeping in mind that God cannot, will not ever take his eyes, his hands off of you because he loved you so much he sent his son to die for you, and now you're his? When is the last time you did something just keeping in mind that there is a God that wants to be with you? And not a meditating, not a mantra, but just doing something, driving with the radio off, a walk, sitting, drawing, shooting hoops in the driveway, keeping in mind that there is a God that wants to be with you. See, it's almost like any other relationship. We lean into who they are. We open ourselves about who we are with them. We lean into the presence of that relationship, and we're going to find it grows and grows and grows. It's the same thing with the Spirit. If you come to church once a week and hear someone talk about him, probably not much of your relationship. You want to find Christ in Christmas? Find places this Christmas season where you're just practicing the presence of God, being in his word, singing worship songs, walking with him, and keeping in mind he cannot, will not want to walk without you. And see where that relationship goes once you start practicing it That's how you find Christmas.